We're going to take a look at how you can set up the Complianz cookie consent plugin. I'm using the free version here, but along the way I will highlight some of the features of the premium version too. You can find this tutorial in written form from the link in the description. And a quick disclaimer, although I've done my research, I am not an expert in these matters. So if you're unsure how to complete the setup, please post a question on the official forums, for example. The forum link is also in the description below. Furthermore, I am an affiliate of Really Simple Plugins, the company that is behind Complianz. So if you buy Complianz using the affiliate link in the description, I get a small commission. But that said, let's get cracking. So here we are with a fresh install of Complianz. And what we're going to do is we're going to go here and click Wizard. Using the wizard, we can easily set up the plugin to our liking by answering a series of questions. One thing I want to highlight before we begin is the instructions manual link right here. I suggest you bookmark it. It might prove to be very valuable to you. Now the first question is, which privacy law or guideline do you want to use as the default? So think about who exactly are you targeting with your website. Do you, for example, live in the EU and you're selling products inside the EU? In that case, use GDPR. Are you actively targeting customers from all over the world? Then you need to comply also with the privacy laws of each targeted region. And the free version of Complianz allows you to select only one region. So if you are selling or advertising in more than one region, then consider getting the premium version. That way you're covering all of your bases. But for the purposes of this tutorial, let's say we're living in the EU and we're selling products inside the EU. So we select GDPR. Do you target visitors from Germany, Austria, Belgium, and/or Spain? Yes, we are. We're selling inside the EU, so we're targeting at least a couple of these countries. Does your site have visitors with login access to a restricted area of the website? No, we don't have such an area. So let's save and continue. So we move on to the documents section. Now the premium version of Complianz can create a bunch of useful documents, but with the free version, you get the cookie policy right here. So let's allow Complianz to generate it. When it comes to the rest of these documents, you should do your research. You need a privacy statement, but with little research, you can write your own, especially if you're running a small business or a blog. The imprint right here is required only for German, Austrian, and Swiss audiences. Check out the link in the description below if you're targeting these areas. A disclaimer is useful as it can protect you from litigation. You should have it on your website, but again, by using Google, you can probably create one yourself. So we move on. Next up, it's website information, and we can quickly fill out these boxes. This information will appear in the cookie policy that we selected in the previous section. Next up, it's security and consent. Now, this section applies only to the premium version, but I'll give you a quick explanation. Extend proof of consent with records of consent means that you're gathering more information about visitors. You're gathering their anonymized IP addresses, a unique user ID, and the choices they made in the cookie banner. Now this is good, but more information means more risk. Let's say in case someone manages to steal your data. So unless some authority is specifically asking you to use this method, you really don't have to worry about it. But I'll link a couple of articles in the description. they give you a very good overview of this matter. Respect, do not track, and global privacy control means that if a visitor has selected these settings on their browser, the cookie banner will adjust accordingly and turn off all cookies. That way, the visitor doesn't even see a cookie banner when they come to your site. Okay, now we arrive at the cookie scan. And I've already run the scan once, but let's run it again. And we found 11 cookies. Now, I have enabled Do Not Track on my browser. So turn this off in order to get an accurate cookie scan. Next up, it's statistics. Now, do we compile statistics of this website? Well, yes, I've selected Google Analytics, but as you can see, we have many other options here also. Does the following apply to your website? Well, in the Google Analytics setup, I have accepted Google Data Processing Amendment, and I've also selected that Google is not allowed to use this data for other services. And I'm using GA4, so by default, IP addresses are anonymized. Okay, next up is configuration of statistics. Do you want to ask consent for statistics? If your analytics data is anonymous, then you don't have to ask for consent unless you live in Germany, Austria, Belgium, or Spain. Either way, if you're unsure, please do your own research. I will select yes. I live in Finland, but just to be sure, I'm gonna ask consent for anonymous statistics. Do you want Complianz to add Google Analytics to your website? If you haven't yet installed Google Analytics, now is a good time to do it by placing the GA ID right here. If you're using Monster Insights, Complianz will detect it and guide you with the installation. If you place the GA tracking ID on your site by hand, for example in the head section, you should remove it and install it here using the wizard. This way you will not get a duplicate installation and Complianz plugin is properly configured with Google Analytics or any other analytics service that you're using. Now there are other ways to implement the tracking code. If you've done it by using some other plugin, then please consult the Complianz Forum. You can even ask them a question. They're quick to answer. Now the last one here is the Google Consent Mode. This is still in beta and it is not required by any means. But here's an article you can read if you want to learn more. Save and continue. Okay, next up it's services. Third-party services include Google Fonts, Maps, reCAPTCHA, YouTube, and so on. If you're using any of these, select them now. So I've selected reCAPTCHA, Maps, and I have a YouTube video embedded on my site. So what this means is Complianz will add the appropriate cookies. Complianz will also add a placeholder, for example, on this YouTube video, which means that it is blocked and only by clicking on the placeholder will the visitor activate the video. Now the rest of these questions are pretty self-evident. If you want to read more about blocking reCAPTCHA before consent, here's a good article. But we're going to move on. Okay, on to the plugins section. And here you can see if any of the other plugins that you're using on your website have any privacy considerations. These details will be added to the privacy statement if you've allowed Complianz to create it. So we don't have any worthwhile plugins installed, so let's move on. Next, it's cookie descriptions. Complianz needs to connect with cookiedatabase.org to collect and synchronize with the most recent descriptions for cookies and related services. This will ensure that your cookie policy always contains the most up-to-date cookie description. And here we have a lot of information about all the cookies found on your website. The cookie blocker is activated because we're using third-party cookies on our site. If you see any unknown cookies here, or if you see the red mark on any of the cookies mentioned here, just press sync and Complianz will connect with cookie database and pull out the most recent information about these cookies. Okay, here in the service descriptions, we have a very concise summary of all the services running on our website. We can see here the services we selected earlier, like YouTube, reCAPTCHA, Analytics. Let's save and continue. And here we can create the cookie policy that we selected earlier. And I've already done it, but all you have to do is press this button and it will create a new page here. And at the end of the video, we will take a look at that page. Now, link to menu section is a premium feature. It means that we can detect the visitor's location and show them documents, privacy documents relevant to their region. And the other thing here is we can select where to place the link for the cookie policy page. And I've selected primary menu, which means that the visitor can see it on the upper right corner of the front page, along with the other navigation links. So that's it. We've finished the setup. All that is left is configuring the banner. And there's a lot of stuff here you can do. Colors, texts, text size, everything. But we're not going to go into that. So I'm going to show you the cookie policy that Complianz created. And here's the cookie policy that Complianz created for us. This saves a lot of time actually. And here we can see the cookies that we scanned and added. Remember, Complianz scans your site every month and adds any appropriate cookies to this list right here. So that's it. The setup is finished and Complianz is ready to run. If you encounter any problems, check out the link to the official forum down in the description below. I hope this video has been useful to you. Leave a comment below if you so wish. Otherwise, have a nice day. Bye-bye.